Imagine waking one morning, and for a fleeting instant, the world is silent. No buzzing phone, no urgent messages, no restless thoughts, just stillness. It feels alien, almost unbearable, like standing at the edge of a vast ocean of quiet. And then, without warning, the noise returns. Thoughts flood in, worries rise, memories knock at the door, plans race forward. The silence collapses. You are swept again into the endless current of your mind. Why is it so hard to hold on to silence? Why does your mind cling to noise as if it were oxygen? You have been taught that noise is life, that constant thinking, planning, striving is proof of existence. Society rewards the restless, the worker who hustles without pause, the student who competes without rest, the parent who never admits exhaustion. Silence, on the other hand, is branded laziness, idleness, even weakness. And yet, deep inside, you sense the paradox, because the more noise you carry within you, the further life's gifts seem to slip away. Think about it. How often have you chased happiness only to feel emptier when you finally touched it? How often have you longed for love, pursued it desperately, only to watch it retreat? How often have you run after peace, distracting yourself with books, meditation apps, or rituals, only to feel your mind more restless than before? Psychology reveals why. Freud would tell you that beneath your conscious striving lives an ocean of unconscious drives, repressed fears, hidden desires. You chase not what you truly want, but what unresolved parts of you demand in disguise. Jung would add that until you face the shadow, the parts of yourself you deny, you will keep running in circles, believing fate is against you when in truth it is your own unconscious pulling the strings. But here is the strange, unsettling truth. Chasing strengthens the very patterns that keep you trapped, cognitive psychology shows us this clearly. The harder you focus on escaping fear, the stronger fear becomes. The more you try to control love, the more anxious attachment grows. The more you strive for peace, the louder your inner critic screams. This is called the ironic process. The mind amplifies what you resist. In trying to force silence, you create more noise. And neuroscience? It reveals the same paradox in biological language. Your brain, bathed in dopamine, is wired to chase. Every scroll, every notification, every like, every fleeting success sparks a reward circuit that demands repetition. But silence doesn't give dopamine jolts. It feels empty to a brain addicted to stimulation. So you resist it, not because it is meaningless, but because it is healing, and healing rarely feels exciting at first. The tragedy is this. Most people mistake noise for progress. They run faster, work harder, drown themselves in distractions. They fear the quiet, because quiet reveals what is broken. Trauma long ignored, wounds never healed, memories too sharp to revisit. In silence, these rise like ghosts. And so, people keep running, thinking they are moving forward, when in reality they are circling the same prison walls. Ask yourself, what are you really chasing? Is it love, or the validation you never received as a child? Is it success, or the desperate attempt to prove you are worthy? Is it peace, or simply an escape from the storm inside? Here lies the great question. What if everything you seek has been waiting for you, but your noise keeps driving it away? Consider a lake. On a stormy day, waves clash, mud rises, nothing reflects clearly. This is your restless mind. No matter how hard you try, you cannot see truth in the chaos. But when the storm ceases, when the water is still, suddenly the reflection is perfect. The sky, the trees, even the faintest bird above. This is silence. And in silence, what you desire begins to notice you. But silence is not easy. It is not passive. It is the most radical act of rebellion against your conditioning. Because to be still is to confront the shadow Freud warned of, the unconscious Jung insisted upon, The despair Schopenhauer declared inevitable. The freedom Sartre said we fear. Silence is not the absence of life, it is the doorway to it. So I ask again, if noise is what drives life away, why do you still cling to it? If silence is what draws life closer, why do you resist it with such terror? Why do we cling to noise when silence is the very thing that heals us? Why do we chase life away when all we long for is its embrace? The roots of this contradiction run deep, into the unconscious, into our culture, into the very biology of the human brain. Why do we cling to noise when silence is the very thing that heals us? Why do we chase life away when all we long for is its embrace? The roots of this contradiction run deep, into the unconscious, into our culture, into the very biology of the human brain. Let us begin with the psyche itself. Freud believed that beneath your conscious striving lies a vast reservoir of repressed emotions, unacknowledged, alleged desires, and unresolved traumas. He called this the unconscious, and it is anything but quiet. It is a storm that churns beneath the surface of awareness, whispering commands you cannot fully hear yet obey nonetheless. When you sit in silence, this storm rises. Old memories knock at the door. Suppressed shame pushes forward. Long-buried grief demands attention. No wonder you avoid stillness. The noise of distraction is easier than the truth of your own depths. Carl Jung took this further. To him, the unconscious was not only a repository of the repressed, but also the realm of archetypes and the shadow. The shadow holds everything you deny about yourself. Anger you pretend not to feel. Fears you mask with confidence. Desires you dismiss as unacceptable. When silence descends, the shadow stirs. To meet it feels like death to the ego. And so, rather than face the unconscious, you drown it in perpetual motion. You chase, because stillness would force you to confront who you really are. But the roots of noise do not end with the unconscious. Cognitive psychology shows us how the mind tricks itself into endless pursuit. Consider the hedonic treadmill. Every achievement, every reward, brings only temporary satisfaction before fading into normalcy. You run harder, seeking the next hit of happiness, but the treadmill never stops. Or think of cognitive dissonance. When your life does not align with your true values, your mind creates stories to justify the noise. I need to work harder. I can't stop now. If I slow down, I'll fail. These illusions protect you from the discomfort of silence but keep you chained to chaos. Behavioral psychology paints the same picture in another language. You are conditioned to chase. Rewards, whether money, approval, or affection, are delivered intermittently, unpredictably, like a slot machine. This intermittent reinforcement is the strongest form of conditioning. It ensures that you keep running, keep scrolling, keep seeking, because maybe this time you'll win. Silence breaks the cycle, but silence offers no reward at first. Your brain resists it as though it were starvation, when in fact it is medicine. Neuroscience sharpens the point. The brain's default mode network, DMN, generates constant chatter when unoccupied, replaying the past, predicting the future. It feels like thinking, but it is mostly noise. Meditation studies show that silence deactivates this restless network, quieting the illusions it spins. At the same time, silence activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural repair mode. Heart rate slows, stress hormones drop, neuroplasticity increases. In stillness, the brain heals. Yet most people never allow themselves this gift because the first taste of silence is uncomfortable. Withdrawal symptoms from noise mimic withdrawal from any addiction. And what of society? Aldous Huxley warned of a culture drowned in distractions. He foresaw a world where people would not be forced into chains, but would beg for them so long as they glittered with entertainment. Today, his prophecy is reality. Noise is monetized. Your attention is bought and sold. Every platform, every advertisement thrives on your inability to sit quietly with yourself. Silence is the enemy of consumer culture because a silent mind does not need to buy happiness. A silent heart cannot be manipulated by fear. To reclaim silence is to rebel against an economy built on your restlessness. Philosophy too unmasks the hidden roots. Schopenhauer argued that desire itself is suffering, that to live is to crave endlessly. When silence strips you of desire, you touch a state beyond suffering. But you resist it because your identity has been built upon craving. Who are you without the chase? Sartre would say that silence exposes freedom, and freedom terrifies because it leaves you with no excuses. In noise, you can blame the world for your unhappiness. In silence, you must face the truth. The meaning of your existence is yours alone to create. Even modern psychology confirms it. Trauma research shows that silence often awakens painful memories stored in the body. Attachment theory reveals that silence can trigger fears of abandonment for those who equate stillness with being unloved. Cognitive behavioral therapy demonstrates how the restless mind clings to rumination and worry as a false attempt at control. Everywhere the evidence points the same way. Silence feels unbearable, not because it is empty, but because it is full of everything you have avoided. So here lies the hidden problem. Humanity fears silence because silence is a mirror. And in that mirror, you see not only who you are, but also who you are not. You see the masks you wear, the lies you tell yourself, the pain you have carried for years. You see the futility of the chase and the emptiness it brings. And rather than face this truth, you drown it in noise. But the cost is devastating. Because in fleeing silence, you flee the very key that unlocks your desires. You cannot attract what you seek because the storm within you drives it away. You cannot find peace because your mind is addicted to chaos. You cannot feel love because your heart beats too frantically to sense it. The hidden problem, then, is not that life withholds from you. It is that you withhold yourself from life by clinging to noise, by fearing silence, by refusing to face the unconscious. And so the question deepens. If silence holds the very power to heal and attract, why do we continue to sabotage ourselves? Why do we choose noise, knowing it destroys us? The answer lies in the unseen consequences, the subtle ways in which this avoidance shapes every part of our existence. And unless we uncover them, we remain trapped in the prison of noise, believing we are free while running endlessly in circles. You may think that noise is harmless, that the restless chatter of the mind, the constant chase, the inability to sit still, is simply part of being human. But silence reveals a darker truth. Noise is not neutral. It shapes your life, your choices, your identity, in ways you rarely see. And its consequences reach further than you imagine. Start with the most intimate, your relationship with yourself. Cognitive psychology has shown that the mind is biased toward negativity. In silence, this negativity bias becomes evident. Left unchecked, it turns into rumination, endless loops of self-criticism, regret, or worry. But because you avoid silence, you never learn to see the loop for what it is. Instead, you drown it in distraction, believing the problem is outside you. You scroll, you binge, you chase, yet the cycle continues, silently corroding your self-worth. And then there are your relationships. Have you noticed how desperation pushes people away? Attachment theory explains this clearly. Anxious attachment, born from childhood fears of abandonment, drives you to chase love frantically. But in doing so, you send signals of fear and insecurity, signals others unconsciously detect. Neuroscience shows that humans are wired for emotional contagion. We sense another's state even, without words. When your inner noise screams desperation, people feel it as instability. They retreat. The love you crave runs further away, not because you are unworthy, but because your inner storm repels what silence would naturally attract. The same is true of success. Behavioral psychology teaches us about learned helplessness. When repeated effort fails to bring the desired outcome, the mind gives up, believing itself powerless. Noise accelerates this process. Chasing without rest, measuring yourself against constant comparison, creates the illusion of futility. You tell yourself, "I can't win no matter what I do." But the truth is that the very noise of comparison distorts your sense of progress. Silence could reset it, allowing you to see clearly. Yet in avoiding silence, you remain trapped in illusions of failure. On a neurological level, the consequences are even more severe. Chronic mental noise activates the sympathetic nervous system, the body's fight-or-flight mode. Cortisol floods your system. Your body believes it is under constant threat, even when no danger exists. Over time, this leads to burnout, anxiety disorders, depression, even physical illness. Studies reveal that silence, 2 hours a day of genuine quiet, can stimulate the growth of new brain cells in the hippocampus, the region responsible. Every prison has a gate. The tragedy is not that human beings are trapped in noise, but that they rarely notice the gate standing open in front of them. That gate is silence. To walk through it is not easy. It requires rebellion, against the world, against society, against even your own mind. But once you cross, you begin to experience life in a way that chasing can never deliver. The first act of rebellion is simple. Stop running. At first, this feels like death. Your body craves stimulation, your mind demands activity, your ego insists on proving itself. Behavioral psychology explains this resistance. Your brain has been conditioned through years of reinforcement to equate movement with safety and noise with progress. Stopping feels like failure, but rebellion is to endure that discomfort without flinching. Each time you resist the urge to chase, whether it is checking your phone for validation, overworking to prove worth, or begging for love, you weaken the chains of conditioning. The second act of rebellion is to face the shadow. Jung insisted that wholeness is not achieved by chasing perfection, but by embracing the parts of yourself you deny. In silence, the shadow rises. Anger, fear, shame, unresolved wounds. Most people flee at this moment, drowning the rising darkness in distractions. But true rebellion is to sit and let the shadow speak. Cognitive behavioral therapy mirrors this. Exposure to feared thoughts reduces their power. By allowing what you fear to exist in awareness, you discover it cannot destroy you. Instead, it becomes integrated, turning weakness into strength. The third act of rebellion is to regulate the nervous system. Neuroscience reveals that silence is not mere absence, it is medicine. When you sit quietly, the parasympathetic nervous system awakens, healing the damage of stress, lowering cortisol, rewiring the brain for balance. Trauma therapy, from somatic experiencing to mindfulness, emphasizes this truth. Safety is built in stillness. By practicing silence, you tell your nervous system, "I am safe." This biological message radiates outward, making others feel safe in your presence. And safety is the root of attraction. The fourth act of rebellion is to reclaim attention. Modern culture thrives on hijacking it. Notifications, advertisements, entertainment, each on tow. It fragments your focus, keeping you trapped in surface-level awareness. Philosophers like Kierkegaard warned that distraction is the enemy of the soul. To rebel is to reclaim your attention from the machine. This does not mean renouncing the world, but mastering it, choosing when to engage, when to step back, when to let silence guard your mind. In psychological terms, this is metacognition, the ability to watch your own thoughts instead of being enslaved by them. The fifth act of rebellion is to embrace paradox. Schopenhauer said, "Desire leads only to suffering, but paradoxically, when you stop grasping, life offers itself." Existential psychology echoes this. Meaning arises not when you force it, but when you live authentically. To rebel is to stop demanding life meet your expectations and to start loving it as it is. Nietzsche's amor fati, the love of fate. In silence, you no longer chase love, peace, or success. You radiate presence, and presence attracts them naturally. Think of the greatest leaders, sages, and healers. They did not shout their worth. They carried an aura of stillness, an unspoken gravity that drew people near. Gandhi shook empires not with weapons, but with an immovable presence. The Buddha sat beneath a tree in silence and shifted the course of human history. Their rebellion was not noise but stillness, not force but presence. But rebellion is not only for saints, it is for you. The everyday acts of defiance are deceptively small, sitting quietly for 10 minutes, breathing slowly instead of reacting, choosing to listen without interrupting, resisting the compulsion to fill silence with words. Each moment of stillness is a blow struck against the empire of noise. And what happens when you practice this rebellion? Psychology, philosophy, and neuroscience converge. You become magnetic. Your calm nervous system radiates safety. Your integrated shadow radiates authenticity. Your reclaimed attention radiates power. Your acceptance of life radiates freedom. People cannot explain it, but they feel it. They are drawn to you. Opportunities appear. Relationships deepen. Success flows more naturally. Silence does not make you passive. It makes you powerful. The quiet mind is not empty. It is steady. And in that steadiness lies a presence stronger than any chase. Ask yourself, are you willing to be different in a world addicted to noise? Are you willing to sit when others run, to pause when others panic, to listen when others scream? If so, you are already rebelling. Rebellion does not always roar. Sometimes it breathes. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it is nothing more than the courage to be silent when silence is unbearable. And in that silence, life itself begins to move toward you. Imagine this. After years of running, striving, chasing, you finally stop. At first, the silence feels unbearable. The shadows rise, the old wounds return, the restless mind rebels. But then, slowly, something shifts. The noise quiets. The storm calms. A new awareness begins to dawn. And in that stillness, you discover the truth that was hidden in plain sight. You were never meant to chase. You were always meant to attract. This is the ultimate paradox. For all of human history, people have believed that effort, striving and conquest lead to fulfillment. Yet the great thinkers, mystics, and psychologists have whispered a different truth. Jung spoke of the self, the radiant center of being, which does not chase, but simply is. Freud uncovered the unconscious drives that enslave us until brought into awareness. Neuroscience shows us that the quiet mind heals and rewires itself in stillness. Philosophy reveals that meaning is not found in endless desire, but in the courage to embrace existence as it is. The ultimate realization is this: silence is not absence. Silence is presence. It is the presence of your truest self, unobscured by noise, untouched by chasing. Think of the sun. It does not run after planets, yet they orbit it naturally, drawn by its gravity. The sun simply shines, and in shining, it attracts. So too with the silent self. When your mind is quiet, when your shadow is embraced, when your nervous system is calm, you radiate a gravity others cannot resist. Love comes, not because you begged, but because your presence is whole. Opportunities arise, not because you force them, but because your steadiness magnetizes them. Peace flows, not because you chased it, but because you created the inner space for it to appear. But this realization carries an even deeper layer. Silence is not only the key to attracting what you desire, it transforms desire itself. In the noise, you crave out of emptiness, trying to fill a void. In silence, that void dissolves. You no longer desire to complete yourself. You desire from fullness. Love becomes not desperation, but sharing. Success becomes not validation, but expression. Peace becomes not escape, but reality. Silence does not give you what you want. It changes what you want into something purer, truer, aligned with your soul. And here lies the liberation. You realize that chasing was never about the thing you sought. It was about escaping yourself. Noise was the drug that kept you from hearing your own soul cry out. The ultimate truth is that nothing outside you was ever running from you. It was your own restless mind that pushed it away. The moment you are silent, you see it. Life has been waiting for you all along. Viktor Frankl, survivor of unimaginable suffering, once wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Silence is that change, not an escape from life, but a transformation of the one who lives it. Frankl taught that meaning is not given, it is created. Silence is the womb of that creation. The final realization is both humbling and empowering. The chase was always an illusion. The love you sought, the peace you longed for, the success you pursued, they were never hiding in the distance. They were circling, waiting for the storm to clear. And the storm was always within you. So what now? What will you do with this truth? You could ignore it, return to the noise, numb yourself with distractions, continue the endless chase. Many do. But deep inside, you know the cost. You've seen the unseen consequences. You felt the emptiness of striving. Or you could choose differently. You could choose rebellion. You could choose silence, not as a retreat, but as a way of being. Begin small, a few minutes each day of stillness, watching thoughts without clinging. Sit with discomfort until it dissolves. Listen to the shadow until it integrates. Allow your nervous system to rest. Step by step, you reclaim your power. And as you do, you will notice something miraculous. The very things you once begged for begin to arrive, not as rewards for effort, but as natural expressions of your presence. People will say you are lucky, magnetic, chose, N. But you will know the truth. You are simply silent. This is the ultimate truth. Silence is not the absence of life. Silence is the presence that makes life possible. It is not emptiness, but fullness. It is not weakness, but strength. In silence, you do not lose yourself. You finally meet yourself. And in meeting yourself, you discover that everything you once chased was already within you. The quiet mind does not beg. The quiet mind does not run. The quiet mind does not repel. The quiet mind attracts. So when the noise rises, when the chase tempts you, remember this. The storm is not reality. It is illusion. Step into silence, breathe, be still, and watch as life itself begins to walk toward you.